So I woke up today and my right lower side in the back was kind of aching, and I'm hoping it's just that I slept wrong. But I've had close to 40 kidney stones now in my life. They started when I was 21. And when you've had kidney stones, especially a lot of them, you get very hypervigilant to any kind of uncomfortable feeling. It always starts in the lower back area. So if you're wondering if you have a kidney stone, this is my experience. It not necessarily is going to be for everybody, but most of the time it starts off with a dull ache and then progresses to what feels like a pinched nerve, and you try to stretch and move yourself in different ways to alleviate that pain, and it doesn't go away. And that pinched nerve eventually grows to just this intense pain. And women who have gone through labor say it's worse than that, because the pain doesn't let up. At least with labor, you get a break in between. This is just a constant pain. I get very, very sick to my stomach when I get that intense pain. So it causes you to vomit. You also feel like you have to urinate all the time. So you go in to try to urinate and nothing happens. It's just a really awful feeling. It's just horrible. Last year, right after January 1st hit, they found that I had a 10.6 millimeter stone. And that's huge, because most kidney stones are about 1, if that. At that size, there's no way you're going to pass it. And the urologist said that I would have to have surgery, because she could do the lithotripsy, but it's more than one visit, and you still can't guarantee that they're going to get it all. So they booked me for emergency surgery because it would it could kill your kidney, basically, because you're not able to use the kidney, really. So it ends up getting desiccated and just shrivels up and dies. So I was admitted to the hospital overnight, and in the morning they were going to do the surgery. I had never had surgery in my life. Wisdom teeth, but this was a completely different, where they put the tube down your throat and everything. But I was more scared about my dogs because I don't have anybody to take care of them, and they had never been left overnight by themselves. So I was just crying and upset about them having to leave them like that. It's a really bad feeling when you have to go in the hospital by yourself. You don't have anybody there. But they came up and got me the next morning, brought me down, wheeled me into the operating room. And I just kept thinking to myself, just hurry up and knock me out so I'm not aware of anything going on. I just cannot wait for them to knock me out, so I just didn't have to worry about anything. And yeah, before I know it, I was out, and I was in the recovery room the next thing I knew. Didn't really have any pain after the surgery itself. They did have to put in a stent in my kidney, and that hurt every time I had to go to the bathroom. It burned like you have a urinary tract infection, so it was very uncomfortable. I had to leave that in, I think, almost 7 days, and they leave a long string out, and when it's time to remove it, you have to remove it yourself. And I thought it was going to be extremely painful because it's something up in your kidney, so that's a long way up there. But when I removed it, it wasn't painful, luckily. But what I did was I bared down like I was having to poop, basically, to kind of help push it out. I don't know if that helped with it, if it would be pain-free anyway, but that's the way I did it, and it didn't hurt at all. So, but then, was it a month or two later, I had to just do a follow-up ultrasound to make sure that it was cleared, and there was still a portion that was there. And it shocked me because I was like thinking I was going to go in and get the all clear, and then it wasn't. I had to go in May for a second surgery, same surgery. Oh my God. I could not believe that. So, yeah, that was fun. But back to the kidney stone. Right now I'm just laying down to hopefully, maybe I just laid wrong during the night, so I'm just trying to take it easy and not move a lot. And right now I'm laying in a position where it's comfortable, and I'm not really feeling much of it. But like I said, anytime you start feeling that ache, you get very hypervigilant and very panicked about, oh my God, is this another kidney stone? But what they normally want to do, if you haven't had a kidney stone and you're watching this, yes, you could try to stick it out and pass it at home, but I'm telling you, when that pain is that unbearable, you don't want to stay home. You will take your butt to the ER if it's the middle of the night, which that's what happens to me. It gets so bad that I end up going 11 o'clock at night or later. It's always late. And then, of course, they prioritize you. So if the ER is busy, you're sitting there in pain that whole time. They don't give you anything until they can know what's going on. So you're sitting out in the waiting room, hunched over in pain. And it just sucks. When they finally bring you back, they still won't give you any kind of pain medication because you may be one of those fakers out there that goes to the ER to get your fix, right? So you're still hunched over in pain, waiting for someone to come in. Sometimes, once the doctor sees you, they will give you morphine in your IV, because at least they set up the IV for you. But other times, they want to do a CT scan first. Now, here's the thing. If you're getting a CT scan, make sure they do the right one. Because I went to, it's kind of like an emergent care here, but they have a CT machine. And they did the wrong protocol. If they have you laying on your back, it's the wrong protocol. You have to lay on your stomach. And if that's not the one they're doing, let them know, I need the kidney protocol. This is not the protocol. Because that's what led to my surgery. Because I had been having pains off and on my left kidney by the time I got my surgery for a few years. I went to that stupid Emergicare, and they did that wrong scan and said, well, we don't see anything. And that was it. They sent me home. They gave me some pain meds and sent me home. But that kidney stone had time to grow and grow and grow to where it would not pass on its own. And off and on, at that point, I would have the pains. I went to my doctor and told him, and he said, well, I would have to send you for a CT scan. And I'm thinking, well, they didn't see anything. So I just felt so defeated, I mean, how am I supposed to know as the patient they did the wrong protocol? All I know is they did the CT, they didn't see anything. And it infuriates me because I had to pay them over $1,000, and I had to set up a payment plan for that because I can't pay it all at one time. Just to find out they did the wrong one. Because when I went to there's an extension hospital ER over here. It's not an actual hospital, but it's a branch of UC Health, and it's an ER you can go to, just not part of the hospital. So the kidney stone got to where it was so painful that's where I actually went. And I was delaying it because of the cost, but I couldn't take it anymore. And this time they did the CT scan, and they said it was the kidney protocol, and I was laying on my stomach. And I'm like, well, that's not what they did the last time. So I was pretty pissed. So they did the CT scan. I went back into my room that I was in, and the doctors came in and said, man, that's a big stone. I said, what? Really? He says, yeah, it's huge. So we have to send you over to the main hospital and admit you, because you're going to have emergency surgery the next morning. So just know that if you're laying on your back, it is the wrong protocol. And you need to point that out, advocate for yourself. Because now that I know, that won't happen again. But when you go to the ER with the pains, more than likely, they're going to want to do the CT scan for you, just to make sure that it is a stone and not something else. It could be a urinary tract infection, because I had one of those one time and I thought it was a kidney stone, and it wasn't. But that's usually what they're going to want to do. They can do an x-ray with a dye, but I'm allergic to that stupid dye. It's called an IVP dye. And that caused my temperature to go up. It caused my entire body to shake because I got so cold. I shook so bad that my body hurt for an entire month after I was discharged from the hospital. So the dyes you have to be very careful with, because you could have an adverse reaction. So they just do the CT scan. And then if they do see it, they'll they'll give you your pain meds, and they give you this little strainer that you have to strain your urine to make sure that it passes. You'll see it. It's just this little tiny, you'd be surprised at how small that is when it creates that much of an intense pain. It is small. And it's kind of, it's kidney color. It's a reddish color. But they'll do that, and then they'll send you home with pain meds. Usually it's a generic version of the hydrocodone. So once they give you the morphine, though, in your IV drip, the pain just goes away and you finally get relief, and you're like, oh my gosh, thank God. Thank God it's finally over. But when my pain gets to that point, Istomed is on reserve. I have like 2 left from my surgery. That way, if I do end up getting to the point where it's starting to do the ache, not the ache, the pinched nerve. The ache I don't do anything with. I just pray that it goes away. But when I start feeling the pinched nerve feeling, and it's still bearable, that's when I take a pain med. And it can alleviate it. But that is pretty much what you have to look forward to if you're experiencing a kidney stone. It's I'm sorry if you're going through it, because I've been there many, many times. But if you're trying to self-diagnose, wondering what this is, that's what to look out for. Like I said, it's not always going to start as just a gradual ache. Sometimes it'll just start as the pinched nerve feeling back there. And then it radiates up forward to your front. But it's always in your back, your low back, off to the side where your kidneys are. And, I've just tried to position myself in different ways to try to alleviate that feeling, because it has to get to where it's unbearable before I'll go to the ER, just because of the cost. And that sucks. I've tried to get Medicaid, and I'm not qualified. The thing is, they look at the cost, they look at your pay, but they don't look at the bills that go towards it. It's like, oh, all of that take-home pay, that's it. And no, no, I've got bills to pay with that. So I have nothing left after that, but it doesn't matter. You basically have to have no job to qualify for it. So I have insurance through my job. It's through Cigna. And, of course, it's a high deductible plan. That's what all the private insurance is anymore, is high deductible plans. So I have a $3,500 deductible, which means they will not cover anything until I've paid $3,500. After that, I have a 10% co-insurance until I've hit my out-of-pocket max for the year of $5,200. So I'll still have to pay even after I've hit the $3,500. But luckily, when I had to go in the hospital, I was able to go online to their website and apply for assistance. And you have to just submit all this information about your finances and everything. And luckily with that, they drew it out, of course. It took about a month and a half before I even found out that I was approved. So all that time I was just stressing like, oh my God, my hospital bill, I'm going to have to pay $5,200. I don't have that. It's going to take me years to pay that off. And what if they don't accept my payment arrangement? What if they want more than I can afford? What am I going to do? But luckily, about a month and a half later, it came through that I was approved. And they cut it all the way down to like $600 and something for me to pay. And I cannot believe that. I just was so relieved. I still had to make arrangements on that. But it was an immense relief So if you're in that position, you do have that option of going on their website and apply for financial hardship. And it's a really big range. I think that it goes up to like I can't remember. I can't even remember. I don't know. It was a big range though. So that's an option for you if you have to go through all of that. But yeah, just keep an eye out if you're feeling any of that. Know that it's probably a kidney stone, not always. Like I said, one time I had the urinary tract infection and thought it was a kidney stone. But get it checked out, because if you don't pass that and it grows like that, it can kill your kidney. So it's something to take seriously. Something else that I found out after my first surgery last year, she diagnosed me with chronic kidney disease. And that I was shocked by that. Kidney problems run on one side of my family, so it's probably hereditary. But mine is chronic kidney disease level 3B. So there's 5 stages. There's 1, 2, then there's 3A, 3B, then there's 4, and then level 5 is where you're required to have dialysis and all that stuff. So I've started looking at recipes for kidney disease, because there's different fruits and vegetables that can have a lot of phosphorus in it that is a strain on your kidneys. There's just all kinds of things that are hard on your kidneys that you really don't think about. So I'm trying to learn as much as I can about the foods that are better and worse for your kidneys. And there's some really amazing recipes that I'm finding for those too. But it's a learning process. It's definitely a learning process. So just a heads up. Right now I'm feeling more of a ache in the kidney. So I might take a couple of acetaminophen. I'm allergic to ibuprofen. So I might take a couple of those when it's an ache like this. If I take those, it usually alleviates it. So I'll probably end up trying that if this doesn't go away soon. But yeah, just a heads up to be vigilant on that. And I'll talk to you later.